Most realtors and business people struggle when it comes to finding wealth, to creating wealth, and to keeping wealth. And even more so, I see realtors and business people mess up bigly on all their numbers. They do it wrong. And how in the world can you ever make it right if you do it wrong? And we're here to help you with all those things. My name is Erik Hatch of Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching. We're based out of Fargo, North Dakota. Hatch Realty, our real estate team, we are in 4 markets, but the primary is in Fargo, 3 little expansion markets. And last year, 2021, we sold 1,023 houses. In our history now, since 2014, we've sold over 6,000 houses. So I can say with confidence that we have a good grip on money and wealth. Hatch Coaching is doing our best to impact the world through kindness and generosity. We want to redefine how people treat people. And so we're here to help you grow your business to be better for your team members and to be better for your clients. And so mutually, these two exist. And we try to bring you a webinar every week or two with a ton of information. And today is no different. We are talking about wealth. We're talking about all things money and numbers and systems and processes. And let me just say this. I did it wrong, and now I'm doing it right. I made the mistake I think many of you are probably making, and if that is your truth, it is not too late. We can work to adjust your numbers. We can work to get things right, and we can work to get more wealth in your life. And so I want to encourage you to take some notes today. The first thing I want to bring to your attention is the topic of wealth. So please write out wealth. The definition of wealth is this. It is an abundance of money and resources. I'm going to use those interchangeably. Money and resources, time, and culture, being surrounded by people that you can trust your life with, that you can trust your spouse with, that you feel great about. I don't think that niceness is a part of culture. I think that's like a bare standard, but I think culture is being surrounded by hungry people and people that make you better. Now, I know a lot of people that are rich, but I don't know a lot of people that are wealthy. I know a lot of people that are rich. They have a lot of money and resources, but they probably don't have a lot of time, or they're surrounded by a bunch of douche nuggets, right? Probably weren't expecting douche nuggets in the first couple of minutes, but we got there, right? If the culture is off, or if the time isn't there, riches are, man, it's an empty promise, because the purpose of money, the purpose of this is to buy you freedom. The purpose of money is to get you time back in your life, is to get you surrounded by amazing people, your family, your friends, yourself, and the coworkers that you are proud to associate with. So as we talk about this, I'm going to talk specifically about numbers, and we are living in that riches section. But I will tell you this, that we could do webinar upon webinar about actually unfolding and unpacking what it means to have true wealth. And you have to have an abundance of resources that create freedom. That freedom is for your time, and that time is for your people. So we're going to dive in, though, and make sure that the numbers of your business are right. Here's the mistake I made. All right. Got into real estate 2006. I was a part-time realtor. Gang, buckle up. But in my first year of real estate, I sold 0 houses. As a part-time realtor, I was trash. I was no good. It took me until like my 15th month of real estate to actually make a buck. And I didn't even make a buck. I just paid for the other bucks that I had already spent. So I got maybe back to break even. And then I started to find momentum, and I sold 10 houses that year. And each year I've crescendoed up and sold more. As this happened and as this went, I went full-time into real estate in 2011. 2011, I sold 52 houses myself. My expenses were completely under control because I had earned all my business. I didn't buy any business. There was no purchase leads whatsoever. All I did was I focused on growing my business through reputation, through open houses, and through referrals. So I leaned on social media heavily. I worked with people mightily that I was connected with, and I got really intentional on building a business that was profitable from moment one. Then I started my team, and everything changed, because in 2012, I started my team. 10 years ago, we said, we're going to give this the old college try. And I thought, I'm going to hire all these people, and I'm going to make a ton of money because I'll buy leads, and then they're going to cash that in. And then I'm going to be super rich. And gang, that model just doesn't work. For most people, that model doesn't work, because what happens is you hire the wrong people, you train them poorly, and then you expect them to convert the hardest leads and you expect them to find great success, or you expect them to bring in deals from your own sphere and your own procuring, or their own sphere and their own procuring, and you're going to take a portion of that commission on it, and you're just going to make a ton of money. And then you realize, oh man, this is taking all my time to work with them, and I'm still under training them. They're still underdeveloped, and you're just caught in this like rigmarole. That's where I was in 2012. We sold 192 houses that year, but gang, I was 113 of those 192 houses. To do 60% of the production is not a healthy business. That's not wealth. I had riches, but I had no time, right? I was making great money, but I didn't have any time in my life. And we just realized that there has to be a better way. In 2013, it all came crashing down. I started over again, and I recognized that I had to find success through others, and success through others led me to a really great place. And I got out of production in 2014. This is all leading to this. In 2014, my daughter Finley was born in October, and I made the decision that when she was born, I was going to stop sacrificing all my time. I was going to instead be the present dad that I never had. And so in that, when Finley was born, I just let go of all of production. And I've lost millions of dollars by doing that, because there's a better way to do so. If you haven't done so, you need to go onto YouTube and to take a look at some of our videos. We have one video that is going to really stand out. It's called Don't Hire a Buyer Agent. It talks about how you take your business, and instead of just handing it to other people, you instead build up a micro team. And this micro team has great leverage that's with it, and you can build huge things for what you're doing. And so I just give that to you as hopefully a gift and a teaser. So go to our Hatch Coaching YouTube channel, subscribe, and then while you're there, please find the Don't Hire a Buyer Agent video. That's going to give all the framework. But gang, my numbers were wrong. I lost millions of dollars. And then I also was lulled into thinking that my numbers were right. Here's what most people do. You get a $10,000 commission. You take that $10,000 commission and you put that into the company account. You pay your bills, you maybe take a draw, and then you look and you're like, man, my expenses were this. Maybe my expenses, I closed 3 deals in a month. Okay, let's say this. I closed 3 deals a month. Each one's a $10,000 commission. That's $30,000. You took out $5,000 for yourself to live. You maybe had a couple $1,000s in expenses that are there. And so you're like, I have an 80 or 90% profit margin. And that is the biggest crock of crocks I've ever heard. Here's the numbers. Okay. The first thing you need to write down right now is this. You pay yourself 3 ways in real estate. I don't care if you're a member on a team, if you're running a team, or you're a solopreneur. You should be paying yourself in 3 ways. The first way you should pay yourself is you should pay yourself a salary, a consistent amount of what it is for you to work on the business. Now, there's a difference between working in the business and on the business. And if you're a new agent starting out and maybe you're making 30 grand a year, the salary you're going to pay yourself is, I don't know, $500 a month. It's not a ton. It's not huge, but you got to at least get used to paying yourself a salary, because you are an employee of the business. You are working on the business. If you're running a team, full transparency is I pay myself a salary of $100,000. I used to pay myself $150,000, but I work in the business now about a day a week. And so pay yourself a salary. That's the first thing that you need to do. The second way in which you make money as a realtor is you pay yourself a commission. This is transformative for a lot of people because you're not doing your numbers correctly. Let me give you an example. In 2014, when I got out of production, I looked at my numbers of the company. I'm like, we're making crazy great money. But I sold 151 houses that year in 2014 when I got out of production. And I took all my commission, I paid it to the company. I didn't pay myself like I was a member on the team. I didn't pay myself a 30, 40, or 50% commission split out of that company bucket. I didn't do that. It was a big, huge, stinking mistake. And so all of a sudden, when I actually got out of production, I was like, oh crap, where did all the company money go? I was improperly understanding my numbers, and that set me up for massive failure. Pay yourself first, a salary, small, medium, large, up to you, depending on the size of your business. Number two is you pay yourself a commission split for all of the production that you do. You give a referral to somebody on your team. If you're the team owner, you should be charging 25%. That's a new piece of information for some of you. If you're giving a referral from your own past client, from your own sphere of influence pool, you should be charging 25% to the people on your team. Zillow charges you 35%, right? Why aren't you charging for the value that you're giving? Well, I think the piece that so many people say is, well, my team expects that. Your team is with you because they want the greatest chance at success and they believe you can help them to get there. If you've been handing off your deals without taking a referral, this is the time to change, because you have financial pieces of your business that you have to protect. Gang, you understand, I coach some of the top people in the country in this industry. And do you know how many people actually have healthy numbers? It's like this much, so an itty-bitty amount. And I'm here to preach from the mountaintops that we want you to have healthy numbers so you can have a wealthy life. So you need to be charging a commission. If you do a buy side, you're charging yourself 40 or 50%. You're taking that out of the company pool and putting that into your personal checking account every time, just like an agent on your team would. You're taking that cash out because you are treating this like a business. Because last I checked, you all run businesses. First is payroll. You're going to pay yourself a salary. Second is commission. And the third way you're going to get paid in this game is as an owner, and you are to get owner profit. So I am going to share with you a series of videos that I want you to take a look at. Not videos, excuse me, but slides. So allow me to share my screen. Beep, boop, 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 boop. There we go. Again, if you want to take a screenshot, this is a great chance for you to do so if you're bad at taking notes and that sort. But there's 3 ways to get paid, as I just talked about. This is a framework that is imperative. By the way, this Hatch hint and many, many others show up in the book Robbie T and I just wrote called The Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint. You can go on Amazon right now and find it. It literally just hit shelves today. So if you want to order a copy of this book where we give away pages and pages and pages upon help and guidance, you can do so here. But I want to share this with you. Let me see if I can get this to click. That there's 3 ways in which you're going to make more money in this business. As we frame this and as we go, you need to understand that, and I love 3s. We're going to stick with that rhythm for a while here. First are the 3 ways to get paid. Now there's 3 ways to actually make more money. The first is you have to sell more, right? Obviously, that's the one we jump to quickly, is I need to sell more houses. So let's go and just do that. The second is to spend less. And I'm going to give you in a moment a category of 3 categories that you need to know. And the third is to find efficiencies. Take a look here. If you want to create wealth, this is now number 3 is working smarter, not harder. Again, working smarter, not harder. You can charge a higher commission so long as you're worth it. Absolutely, positively, you need to work on increasing conversion rates, charging extra fees when you have the extra value that comes along with it, vendor dollars, etc. These matter a lot. So these 3 ways to make more money will obviously increase your bottom dollar as an owner. It also will increase your bottom dollar as a producer. Now, the salary that you're to make, this is what your salary goes towards, is how you figure out these 3 things. How do you sell more? How do you spend less? And how do you find efficiencies? These are cornerstones in our business. I told you we're sticking with 3s. These are the 3 areas that you need to pay attention to. And I want to break this down in the best visual. Even though I'm up here in the corner, I want to break this down in the best visual you possibly can. The very first thing that we have is total revenue in GCI. That's that $10,000 commission check I'm talking about. If that $10,000 commission check comes in, it goes to 3 different places. And in fact, this is a great way for you to articulate and defend commission value with team members and with with sellers and so on. The first thing that you have is COGS. COGS stands for cost of goods sold. So obviously there's a commission tied to every deal that you do. If that commission check is $10,000, you're going to be paying yourself or you're going to be paying an agent for doing that production. We recommend at Hatch Coaching, we say that traditionally you're going to pay 25% on on the list side, maybe 35 or 40% on the buy side. And then as people get really good, you're going to increase that because everything should be earned and nothing should be given. So we believe that the cost of goods sold averages out to being about 40%. It's about 35% on the list side and about 45% on the buy side. Now, you all need to understand this. I'm going to click off this for just a moment. You need to look into my baby blues and understand this. Every team pays commission differently. And there's not a right or a wrong way to do this. We've simply surveyed and looked into and saw what our national average is and what people are paying. For me, I pay my agents more. Some people pay their agents less. Like, I mean, however we're going to tell the narrative, we have to understand what our cost of goods sold is. So for every dollar that comes in, on average, 40% of that should be going to pay the agent or pay yourself if you're going to get really true and accurate with your number. Now, I want to share this with you. We're going to jump back here. The second, after your cost of goods sold, is you have expenses. And wouldn't you know it, there's 3 categories for expenses that we have to pay attention to. People, lead gen / marketing, and overhead. 3 categories for expenses. This expense category should not exceed 35%. I see a lot of people buy their way to the top. I see a lot of people trying to fund their way to being rich and wealthy. I know people who consistently say, well, once I get this next deal sold, once this comes, and they're living in this perpetual hell of being stuck because they're overspending their way to success. It's just not the way to get there. Business earned is always better than business bought, but there's 3 categories. People is, of course, the salaries. That's your salary and the salaries of anybody else that works with you. Marketing and overhead, that's lead generation expenses. That's to get the word out there. And the third, overhead, what we're looking at here is we're looking at things like rent and phone bills and insurance and that sort. And that finally leaves net owner profit here, what you see. Net owner profit is that third way that you get paid as a realtor. And so as we get clear on these numbers, and I'm going to give you an example of our P&L here. Let's see. That's the one I want. Here is what we're recommending. I put sample P&L at the top here. I really would love to have the courage to say recommended P&L, but I understand everybody runs a different business. And if we're taking a look at this, and where a lot of you have learned numbers from is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, or MREA for short. MREA has been a Bible and a cornerstone in people's lives. And we've seen that their cost of goods sold that they recommend is 30%. Expenses of 30%, and profit of 40%. I just haven't seen teams really hit those numbers when they do their numbers this way, which I believe is the correct way. Cost of goods sold. If you want a great agent, you got to pay for a great agent, and you need to pay them more than just the bare minimum. My goal is to pay people as much as I humanly can, salaries and commissions and everything else. So let's take a look here. Expenses total 35%. That's really what we're looking at here. The 3 different kinds of expenses. Let's start at the very bottom, salaries and benefits and lead generation. Add those 2 together, and that comes to 23%. If you have that $10,000 commission, or let's say you do 3 deals in a month, that is a total, and that's what you're predicting to do is 3 deals a month. That's a total of $30,000 in commission. You should expect to budget for 23% of that money to go towards lead generation and salaries and benefits. That's $6,900 a month, right? $2,300 was on the 10,000. That was 23%. Then we just multiply that by 3. That gets us to $6,900. So folks, you should never have your lead gen and salaries and benefits exceed that 23%. I see some people that spend like 15% on lead generation, and then maybe you're going to spend 8% on salaries and benefits. I'm not saying they're interchangeable, but I am saying that those 2 together should total 23%. Some of you, if you are on a team or you're a solopreneur, you're actually not going to have any lead gen expenses. And you're not going to have any benefits. There's just the salary that you're receiving and paying yourself. There's a salary that you're paying yourself, and that's a small smidge. And so your profit margin is actually going to be much greater if you're on a team or a solopreneur. I do want to break down where I see people get really irresponsible with cash, and that's this overhead section here in the middle of your screen. The biggest one there is education and coaching. Then you go to occupancy and rent. Then you go to office supplies, professional fees, and technology. Like these all, I've seen some people. In fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday. They are paying, as a husband and wife team, they're paying $3,000 a month in auto insurance, and gas. They're a team that produces about 100 transactions a year, and they're paying $3,000 for 2 vehicles. It's financially irresponsible. I see some people spending no money on coaching, and obviously I'm biased as a coach, but like this is an investment into your growth. This is an activator for you to win. And so these percentages, these are ideal percentages for you to follow. Please, if you haven't done so yet, screenshot this because I'm about to turn it off in like 5 seconds. Getting clear on your numbers, getting clear on your P&L is going to give you clarity on how to have a healthy profit margin of 25%. Remember, that's the goal. That's the target. Some of you maybe want 30 or 35%. That's great. But where are you taking it from? You taking it from COGS, or are you taking it from expenses? Some of you want a lower profit percentage. Some of you are okay and comfortable with making less than that. And I got no judgment for you here. I'm not going to be this one to complain and sit in my high tower to say, well, that's not okay. You just need to figure out and how to have a plan for your money and a plan for you to earn wealth and to do more, to make more, to be more, to have more. So you have to get clear on your numbers. Now, remember, I had covered that there's 3 ways to make more money. Do you remember them? I hope you wrote them down. The first is to sell more. Now, to sell more, we have to take a look at the different categories of where you're going to get business. Number 1, PCSOI. That stands for past client and sphere of influence. It's the first place that you can go and actually get a better return on investment. In the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, they talk about how 2 in every 12 people that are in your inner circle, that are in your past client or sphere of influence, tight-knit A-level circle, you'll get business from 2 out of every 12 people annually. 1 person will buy or sell with you, and 1 person will refer you. That's a 16.67% conversion rate. MREA 2, I've been told, is written but not released. I talked with a friend who is over at Keller Williams, and they said they're now saying 2 in 20. So for every 2 people in your database, or for every 20 people in your database, 2 of them should give you business. 1 will actually work with you to buy or sell, and 1 will give you a referral. Now, if that's the case for all of that, great news. That's 10%. That's easier math for us to figure out. So if you want to get more business, you have to first look at that category. If you have a plan for it, right? If you're following steps and staying in touch with them and treating them like the big pumpkins. There's a book you all should read called The Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz. It's both a leadership book and a book on how to lean in and take care of these really, really great people that are most likely to refer you and to give you business. Treat them differently and treat them with exceptional care because they are different and they are exceptional. So the first way to create more wealth is to sell more. And PCSOI is category number 1. Category number 2 is low-hanging fruit. I'm talking Zillow, Realtor.com, HomeLight referrals. These are expensive sources that will allow you to do more transactions faster. Hear me very clearly that this is a dangerous business model. And if this is the only leg to your stool, this stool is about to fall over. It's bad news if you're leaning on a low-hanging fruit to build your business. I think it's one of the pieces to give you opportunity right now, but it shan't not be that cornerstone in your business that you're going to use to grow. You should never have more than 20 or 25% of all of your business come from this area. Super important. PCSOI is number 1. Low-hanging fruit is number 2. Long-term nurtures is number 3. To give you perspective, the gestation time of a new lead in low-hanging fruit coming in to actually closing is 120 to 180 days. It's a fast turnaround. If you think about it, the average buyer looks for 10 to 12 weeks, and then it sits in escrow for another 4 to 6 weeks. So that's a fast turnaround. For these long-term nurtures, you can expect 600 plus days. See, if you want to create more wealth, you got to play a longer game and not just try to cash in today. You got to play this long residual, like I'm going to not go for a home run. I'm going to go for a base hit every time. Long-term nurtures would be things like a farm, a neighborhood farm. It would be things like forced registration, Google pay-per-click and that sort, and then social media ads. Those people aren't likely to jump today, but if you nurture them and take great care of them, we have our Hatch messaging and Hatch systems that do a great job within Sierra Interactive, Follow Up Boss, and Chime. So if you're on any of those CRMs, we have you covered for that. It's really something you should look into. So go to hatchcoaching.com and figure out how you can lead nurture so much better. It puts all of your lead follow-up on autopilot. Not all of it, like you still got to do some work, gang, but we got you covered for that. The final category, PCSOI, low-hanging fruit, long-term nurtures. Final one is reputation. This is referrals. These are reviews online. This categorizes things like radio and TV. People going to your website because they just know of you and have heard of you. Reputation business is a big deal. This is, again, the long-term game that you need to play. And if you were to take one thing from understanding reputation, is I want to challenge you to go and get a plethora of reviews online. Facebook matters. Zillow matters. Realtor.com matters. But the one that matters the most today as I record this is Google. Right? If you go to Amazon and make a decision that you're going to purchase a product, you usually go with the one that's Amazon's choice or the one that has the highest reviews, correct? We want to set you up for that kind of success. In fact, I just ordered a basketball hoop for my kids, and I didn't go with the cheapest. I went with the one that was reviewed the best. I don't know these people. These are strangers, but I'm taking and trusting their opinion. And that's what's happening all the time in the psyche of people as they're purchasing things and deciding who they're going to work with. And so you need to be playing this reputation game well if you want to sell more. Now, remember, there's 3 ways in which to create wealth here. You sell more, you spend less, and you find efficiencies. So now we're on number 2, which is spend less. To get really clear on what your P&L is, take that sample P&L that I just showed you. Take that and see and compare your P&L with it. Now, remember, you need to be paying yourself a salary. You need to be paying yourself a commission to see if your numbers hold true. If you have $10,000 on a commission check, roughly 35% of that should be going to should be going to expenses. 40% of that should be going to cost of goods sold. That's commissions. And the 25% remaining should go towards your profit, your owner profit. Now, Uncle Sam's going to step in and take a large chunk of that anyway. So it's not as pretty as it seems. My team members even asked me the other day, like, Erik, what do you do with all the money that you make from your team? I'm like, it's simple. I pay taxes and I keep buying and investing in future growth. Like, I'm living a great life. So I'm taking some out that I'm living on, but most of it gets taken by the government, or it's paid in to help stimulate the growth. That's why you have to be paying yourself a commission too. If you're just relying on your owner money to fund your life, you're going to really be struggling. You need to be paying yourself 3 ways. In fact, I have some coaching clients. Maybe you know them. They're Mike and Rachel Novak up in Everett, Washington, north of Seattle. When I started coaching with them about 2.5 years ago, their numbers were just kittywampus. They were really rough. They were making maybe this much. Within a year of us getting their numbers right, and we actually got rid of like 2/3 of the people on their team. Not aggressively, we just raised the standard and held people to it, and they self-selected out. Wouldn't you know it, Mike and Rachel made 6 times the amount of money with our new plan and our new financial structure than they did following what everybody else does. And that is, I'm going to rush to get out of production. I'm going to hire a bunch of people, and then I'm not going to pay myself a commission on things. I'm just going to throw it all to the company. We made those 3 little changes, and wouldn't you know, they 6x'd their wealth in that next year. Sign me up, baby. Remember, sell more, spend less. And the number 3 is find efficiencies. Let's talk through those. And then we're going to wrap. If you are watching live here, please, if you have some questions, put them in the chat box, because I want to be here to answer them in any sort of way. But these efficiencies I'm talking about, let's first talk about the commission that you charge. I'm in a market where 3% is pretty standard, but 25% of people or so are paying out 2.5 or 2% on things. And I see people just like quickly and sheepishly, they're ready to roll over and sign the deal instead of defend their commission. It's a race towards the bottom, everybody. And a race towards the bottom is a bad move. There's no gain that comes when you race towards the bottom. Instead, can you defend your commission with confidence? I challenge you, and write this down. When somebody brings up commission or you bring up commission, you declare it as, it's my favorite part. See, we just put our tail between our legs and we're like, our commission is 6%. Well, if you're defeated, if you're not excited about it, of course they're going to steamroll over you. Instead, oh, we get to talk about commission. That's my favorite part because I want to share with you all the value that we're going to bring. Our commission is only 7%. Let's break down how that goes. Let's first talk about what we traditionally do for the sell side, or for the agent that brings in the buyer. So I see Morgan on my team is watching this right now. So Morgan, I'm going to role play with you. You are my fictional seller. Morgan, do you know what our standard commission is of what we pay buyers in our area? I don't know. What is it? Well, standard commission in our area is 3%. We could choose to pay less than that, but Morgan, what do you think are some of the consequences, good or bad, if we choose to pay less than 3% to the agent that brings in the buyer? Well, maybe some realtors won't want to show the house. They're not going to be excited about it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's one of the positive consequences? Well, maybe you pay out a little less. Yeah, totally. Morgan, what do you think is best here? Do you think that we should be paying out 3% so that people are excited about it? Or do you want to work on trying to chip away and save here? Like, before you answer that, let's see the whole gamut. I want you to see all of it so you can make the best financial decision for you, because this is a big deal. And my job is to be a great advisor for you. Now, here's what it comes down to, Morgan, is I don't make a dime on that side. I simply am trying to get your house sold and to maximize your money and minimize your stress. When it comes to the list side, we charge 4%. Let me explain to you where that goes, because if you don't know where that goes, it's going to be met with some frustration. So the first percent, because I love talking about this, Morgan, I'm so excited about it. The first percent goes towards paying our brokerage. Everybody's got to pay a brokerage, right? So this first percent goes towards paying a brokerage. Second percent goes towards marketing. Morgan, you already told me how important marketing is, you think, to make sure that there's a great presence of the right photos, the right listing accompaniments, and that there's lots of eyeballs on your place. I also explained to you, Morgan, about our inside sales team and how we have hundreds, if not thousands of buyers ready to look at this property at any given time. And we're going to set up and make sure that we capture all those. So the second is marketing. We're going to market the heck out of this. The third is servicing. I'm somebody that loves sales and I want to be there to negotiate and help you to find a win. But I want to be honest with you, Morgan, I'm not great at details. And it would be terrible if we didn't get you fantastic representation, right? Imagine a doctor not having a nurse by their side. We have an entire team of nurses here to support, and that's our admin team. And to make sure that we can minimize any headaches. You told me how you've had horror stories in the past and that things have gone wrong with your friends' real estate transactions, or you're super frustrated. I'm making sure that we are doing everything within our power to minimize that. This 4%, this simply goes towards how I profit. And then Uncle Sam comes in and he cuts off part of that anyways. So Morgan, you told me that you really want great marketing, you really want great servicing and communication, that those are super important to you. And so we charge 7%. What questions do you have? Well, that Yahoo said he'd do it for 5 or 5.5. Morgan, I totally understand. Boy, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. Again, we're excited to talk about this, gang. I'm so glad you brought that up. That other person who said they're willing to do 5%, what are they going to pay the agents on the buy side? Well, gosh, I don't know. They never really talked about that. Okay. Well, Morgan, you told me that you thought that we need to pay that 3%. Is that right? Yeah. I think we need to pay that 3%. Okay. Then that leaves themselves with 2%. The first percent, they got to pay their brokerage, right? That's a non-negotiable. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you might be getting less marketing or less servicing because they're probably still going to want to profit, right? And if they're willing to give up on their money that quick, do you think they're going to be a great negotiator on your money? So we're at 7%. What questions do you have? And then if Morgan keeps pushing, if she keeps saying, man, I don't want to pay 7%. I'll only pay 6%. What I'll say is this is, hey, Morgan, there's a few things that we can talk about. And I call this the feather technique, gang. You start here and you give yourself a chance for that feather to float down to the ground. And so you can negotiate on commission and you can negotiate on things like transaction fees. By the way, if you are not charging transaction fees, so long as you're bringing extra value, meaning you're bringing extra support through transaction coordinating, you're bringing extra support through the right kind of marketing and servicing. If you have those things in place, well, guess what? It's okay to charge more, right? Do you pay the same at McDonald's as you do at Ruth Chris Steakhouse? No, you pay different. Why? Because you get a different experience, you get a different quality product, you get a different energy and vibe, and you feel better afterwards. Like, it's okay to charge more if you're worth it. It's not greed, it's service. Because my guess is most of you aren't hitting that 25% profit number anyways. Those that are doing the bare minimum, they hit that. But why do we want that life of doing the bare minimum? It's a hard pass for me. So use that feather technique. Start at 7 with your transaction fee, feather down, and negotiate so you don't end just at the bottom. With that, we're still talking about efficiencies, and then we're going to wrap. The other efficiency I want you to pay attention to is your conversion rate. I have 6 conversion metrics I want you to take a look at here. We call this the Big 6. Again, this shows up in the book Robbie and I just wrote called The Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint. We believe that there's 6 conversion metrics we need to take a look at. The very first one is lead to appointment set. You get a lead in your inbox. Did you actually set the appointment? Well, you're going to have a really hard time on Google pay-per-click. You're going to have a hard time on forced registration. For something like Zillow or a reputation lead, you should be setting that a lot. And so that number kind of fluctuates a little bit. But then what do we actually think that the person is going to show up? Are they going to show up set to met, right? I set the appointment. Did I actually meet with them? On the sell side, we think 9 out of every 10 people, but probably 2 out of every 3 on the buy side are actually going to show. And I promise you, there's little intricacies that you can do at each of those areas and positions in that set to met ratio. Send them a Google Calendar invite, send a video afterwards, have a longer conversation with them, and don't just treat it like a transaction. Get to know the real depths of them. Give them a reminder call an hour or 2 before. Like, all these things that you're going to do are going to help you to create a lot more wealth. The met to committed ratio. Are they actually willing to commit to you and say, yes, I'm ready to sign an agreement, or I'm giving you my verbal commitment? Usually 9 out of every 10 on the buy side and 2 out of every 3 on the sell side. Now, what's the likelihood that an offer is actually going to get accepted? Buy side, half the time. Sell side, in this current market, almost all the time. Then the offer to pending ratio, like, is it going to get accepted? That's going to be unique in your own area. But pending to close, I see far too many deals. I saw, in fact, new construction deals in the month of June. They had the highest cancellation rate at like 15% of new construction deals canceled in the month of June. Holy gosh, that's terrible. You got to do more diligent work to make sure that people aren't going to be flight risks once they go there. And then finally, the set to close ratio. If you set an appointment, on the buy side, you should be able to close at least 27% of those. And on the sell side, at least 52% of those, taking the whole thing from top to bottom. So those are all the conversion pieces. Those are all the things that we can do and have you do to help you to be a wealthier realtor. My guess is some numbers are challenging you. Put in the chat box here. Did you learn something today? What was it that you learned? And I want to share this with you is we have an event coming up. And this event is on Thursday. It's Tuesday, the 19th of July, as I record this, 2022. We have an event coming up on Thursday. It is 6+ hours of SOPs, standard operating procedures. Myself, Colton Whitney, Mike and Rachel Novak, and Robbie Trefethrin, we're bringing you this event with so much value. Every last thing that you're going to need to know for SOPs, from how to work better with buyers and sellers, to your past clients and sphere of influence, to attracting and onboarding, to lead conversion, to growing your team. We have you covered for all of those things. You just need to sign up for the event. This is the best value we can possibly give, better than you can get anywhere else. And we just need you to sign up. So with that, I have one question here. Does our company budget for charity? Andy, I like that question. The answer is yes. I have my own modified expenses. My own modified expenses mean that I'm giving about 1% of my GCI to charity. I've given upwards of 2%. Now that's top line, not bottom line, right? Let's say I get a $10,000 commission check, but I only make $2,500 on it. That $10,000 commission check, I'm giving maybe 2% of that. So it ends up being, boy, we end up giving as a company last year, we gave $120,000, $130,000, something like that. And so we're giving and giving well. That's just a part of who we are. I also give profit share to my team. I give 20% of my profit share of what I make back to my team, to my key leaders and to my admin. So I do budget for both of those. If there's not any other questions, I'm going to stop recording here in a moment. And if somebody wants to ask a question offline, we can cover that. Otherwise, here's what I need you to do. You need to go to the Hatch Coaching YouTube channel, subscribe for that. If you want to take advantage of some of these lead conversion things to put your lead conversion on autopilot, we'll send you out some information. You can find that over at hatchcoaching.com as well. And then please sign up for the SOP event that happens on Thursday. Much love. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.